Hello, my friends, and welcome back. Thank you very much for being with me again today. Well, I have a few articles here for you, and the first one was sent to me by my cousin, Bogdan, and I thank him very much. It's very interesting how the title is worded, and I think it's a good example of robbery, which is, can Europe save frozen Russian assets from Donald Trump? And as he said, these guys elevated the robbery at the level of countries. These guys who want to rob Russia, do not steal, because Putin explained, these guys in the West, they don't steal our assets because you steal when you're not caught. But these guys are doing it in the face, in the broad daylight. They are robbing us, not stealing from us. They are robbing us. And imagine this. If these guys do this to the Russian assets, do you think the Great West will have any problems in partitioning Russia or still getting its natural resources? Nothing. Zero. They would not blink an. So that's the first topic. The second one. No one listens to Europe. That's a fact. But Europe makes a lot of noise. Why would they do that? That's the second topic. The third one. This is what we are allowed to see, but I suspect that it's much more. I'm talking about the corruption in Ukraine. You find out, or you're allowed to know, that there is big corruption in Ukraine with your money. Your money. It's corruption over there. What would you do? Well, obviously, you stop sending money. But what if you continue to send money? Maybe I make a profit from the corruption. Therefore, I send actually your money, not my money. So that's the third topic here. The next one. When and why did Trump stop sending Tomahawk missiles to Ukraine? Who met in Abu Dhabi? Who met, when we are told the Americans and the Russians met over there? Who met? Well, I will let you know who met. And guess what? According to reports, the Russian diplomats, brace yourselves, are so stupid, man. They couldn't figure out how to make Trump do what they want Trump to do. And that is by fondling his balls and his ego, obviously. This is what Zelensky did lately after the Oval Office garbage, thanking Trump all the time. And we find out that supposedly the Russians did not figure that out. They needed a Jew guy, his name is Witkoff, to tell the Russians they need to fondle Trump's balls in order to make Trump agree to something. So he, the American envoy to Russia, Ukraine, Middle East, however you want to call Steve Witkoff, thought this deep and, oh my God, unreal technique how to get what you want from Trump. Because the Russians were like, we don't know, я не знаю. Is that what it is? I'm going to show you how these guys make news and articles in America. Now you can say, well, I mean, that's Daily Beast. Daily Beast is more popular than I am, and I'm telling the truth, and they're lying sometimes, no? Or they give interpretations. So they're winning. They're winning. All right, so let's start with the first one. This article comes from Deutsche Welle, from Deutschland über niemals, right there. And this is the title. Can Europe save frozen Russian assets from Donald Trump. So can these thieves, not thieves, they're plunderers, they are, can take the Russian assets away from another plunderer? Can they do this? This is the whole point. After Trump's Ukraine peace proposal called for using frozen Russian assets to benefit the US, Europeans say only they can decide what to do with the assets located in Europe. Experts say to move fast on a loan to Ukraine. And I never liked this picture. I wouldn't have participated here. If I was one of these countries, whatever I am, I would not agree to this format at all. This is the principal and these are the students. No, no, no. And he knows what he's doing here. They know what they're doing here. And they still agreed. Now let's return to this. So you understand? Let's move fast. The other guy is gonna steal our loot. And do you think these guys will have any problem in taking, if tomorrow, let's say, that's an opportunity, a window of opportunity in which they say, you can take Russian assets right now. How much you want? Do you think that all these guys over there, all of them, will have any problem saying, whoa, is this legal? Zero. They will steal $300 billion. That's about Russian assets. I made a video yesterday on a report coming from the Russians claiming that Russia's natural resources would worth $100 trillion, more than double or almost double the US resources. So do you think these guys, they kill everybody for 300 billion? Do you think they have a problem killing even their hands from getting the $100 trillion? What is this? Are we part of the West? Are they representing your values? I don't think so. Therefore, I think some of these guys, I'm not going to say whom, and I'm not going to say all of them, could, be very much called criminals. The behavior is, the statements are, and this is how the Russians report the same piece. Russia Today, European Union scrambling to steal Russian funds. As Putin said, it's not stealing. It's not stealing, because stealing isn't people, the guy who loses, who's at the receiving end, doesn't know they steal. But we know. This is something else. This is something else. So, next topic. Remember, this is us. This is us. And if you see there's too many branches in the forest and too many leaves and you can't see the big forest, you just see around you, it's because they make it that way. But remember, the rest of the world is outside of this. They see clearly what's going on here. They see clearly. And then the Europeans show up in their countries and say, freedom, democracy, international law, a rules-based world order. And your corrupt officials in your countries will say, yes, we do, Europe, yes, and America. They know it. So that makes them even worse. So this is what the Russians say, and I think is 100% correct. Maybe not no one, but no one should listen to Europe. So in this case, he's talking about, Lavrov talks about the Ukraine so-called peace process. Quote unquote, no one listens to Europe on Ukraine, Lavrov. European elites insist of using the Nazi Kiev regime as a proxy and cannon fodder to inflict a strategic defeat on Russia, the country's top diplomat has said. And this is what he says. Speaking with the France-Russia Dialogue Association, Lavrov accused European elites of long wishing Russia, quote-unquote, harm and misfortune, citing an aggressiveness with a Russophobic tint that he said continues to dominate Western Europe ruling class. Lavrov's remarks follow reports that the US drafted a roadmap for ending the hostilities. That's very nice. And this is what he says. The elites opt for war. No one listens to them because the European elites placed their bets on the conviction that they could use the Nazi regime in Kiev as a proxy and cannon fodder to inflict what they call a strategic defeat on Russia. So it's true the Europeans were kicked out, but why? Why are the Europeans? No one talks to the Europeans. No one listens to them. Well, in an organization, in a group, you have to find out the values of the group. And based on the values of the group, if you excel having those values, you should gain some respect. Like for instance, if in a group values, courage, then the most courageous one will be seen as being the respected one. They will respect you. And cowardice will be seen as, now in a group where plundering and stealing and breaking the law is seen as a value, then you are seen for that. Now the problem here is the Russians do not have the same values with the European Union. The United States of America tries to pretend it doesn't have. Why? They are losing. Therefore, the Europeans, with their lack of values and power, because they live in not lack of values, they have values, they ignore them. The power, this is how the world is ruled. It goes by power. International law, justice, criminal justice, these are just words, just words. Power, strength, might is right. So European Union lost its might. So it is not right. The Americans still have their might. The Russians regained their might. And the Europeans were going down. So what do you expect? In a world ruled by force, the Europeans are not there. Why do you bother to talk with these guys? Because once you accept them at the table, you have to give them something. Why would you give them? Because you give them from you. Russia and the United States of America will carve the world again, together with BRICS and others. Why would they want the European Union to get anything? If they can ignore the Europeans, it's like a bunch of criminals. Remember when they, in the Hollywood movies and Western movies, when there were some bad dudes robbing a bank. At the end, the big guy, and he gets everything. He used them, and then when it's about distributing the loot, and that was it. I get the loot. Maybe with two of my henchmen that I would eventually do something else, like bury my loot and I kill them while they bury it. Or something like that. It's the same thing here. The same thing. So, all right. About the corruption in Ukraine. As I stated, if you figure out that organization is corrupt, it's bad, and you give them money, and they use the money for something else, what do? You don't send the money. Unless they are giving you some perks through the back door. And Lavrov raises exactly that question. Russia Today. Ukrainian corruption schemes, plural, could have beneficiaries in Europe, in EU. It is hard to explain why the bloc keeps funneling money to Kiev, despite all the scandals, the Russian foreign minister has said. I tell you why. Also because the guys in Ukraine, with the guys in charge of Ukraine, are fighting in order to destroy Russia. Russia has this value. These guys are spending in the West this much. So they still think that I will spend more, because when I win, even though everything points out to the losing direction, when I win, I will get this. So I will take my little thing back. The corrupt guys will get their shit, and everything else is going to be my profit. So until, my sweat, it's bigger than the reward, which is going to be the money, the loot, I'm still doing good. I don't care who does it. As I explained, I'm okay if you are a hitman and I give you, let's say, $1 million. But I realize that I want you to go and do what you do in order for me to get $1 trillion. And I pay you $1 million. And when I give you the money, you steal from me another million. So you basically stole $1 million from me. I paid you $1 million, my investment, right? But when you succeed to do my job, what I told you to do, I get $1 trillion. I don't give a shit if you get 1 million from me. You understand? As long as I get the 1 trillion, I'm still in a big profit. Actually, I'm in about what? 998 millions in profit. 1 million to you, you stole 1 million, there you got it. I got 1 trillion. I'm not about millions, I'm about billions. I'm sorry. Or you can say millions into billions. All right, let's go with that one. So there you go, my friends. That's why these guys are profiting, maybe still profiting, or they hope their investment will come in. All right, next one. When Trump stopped thinking about sending Tomahawk missiles, I don't think he ever thought he would. I don't think he was an imbecile on that one. New voice of Ukraine. Trump halted supply of Tomahawk missiles to Ukraine after October call with Putin. All right. So why do you think he did that? Is it because Trump realized that the Tomahawks are not good? Do you think Trump realized that sending Tomahawks, the Russians warned them they're going to attack US and it's going to be an escalation? I think that's exactly what it was. I heard Trump has a big head, big ego, and that's not good in business, but he made it so far. Can you imagine how much money Trump would have made if he didn't have that big head? I think it would have been at least, 50 billion more than he worth right now is worth. So what's going on? He likes to say that when I spoke with Putin, I watched him saying exactly like that. When I called Putin and we talked to Putin on the phone, and I said, how about I give your enemies, your opposition, some Tomahawks? He didn't like that at all. That's how Trump. He didn't like, I can tell you, like that face, I will tell you, he didn't like that at all. But he didn't say what Putin said next. Probably said, okay, Donald, you do that and then I'm going to fuck you up. He doesn't tell you what Putin said, okay? He didn't like that at all. What did he say? Because eventually you stopped doing it. It's the same thing as with the Cuban Missile Crisis. In the United States of America and in the West, this is portrayed as the West winning in a, contest, and a Blinken contest. And somehow Khrushchev blinked and got scared and, okay, I'm going to remove the nuclear warheads from Cuba. I said this over and over again. They use the middle. Not the beginning or the end of the story. They use the middle. Why? Because that's something that can save face. In the beginning, started in the same way. We have nuclear warheads, Jupiter, in Italy and in Turkey. And the Soviets said, that's the beginning. Said, you take them out. And the Americans said, no. Okay, we will make you take it out. No, you won't, like in Ukraine. And they started sending and creating launching pads in Cuba. No nuclear missiles were sent ever to Cuba. There were all kind of tubes ready for the missiles, but not nuclear material. Got it? Warheads, never. So they lie. There was never a nuclear missile on the territory of Cuba. When you hear that, the person is either an ignorant or is a bad dude, because he must know that. All right, if he's an expert, and experts are lying too. So then these guys put the tubes in front on top of their vessels. The Americans saw them, because it was obvious why they did it that way. They could have hit them underneath, but they didn't. They wanted these guys to see it. They immediately alarmed, and they said, and Khrushchev said, do you remember the beginning of the story? You take your Jupiters from Turkey. No, we won't. All right. And this is the end. Before we get to the end, in America, the story is told this way. And Khrushchev took his nuclear missiles from Cuba. Yes, we won, man. Yes, that's where their story ends. But their story does not end there. It still has the end, which is in 6 months, the Americans agreed that they will remove their nuclear missiles from Turkey within 6 months, and they did it. So again, Trump might tell you that he told Putin, and Putin did not like that a bit, I tell you that. But he's not telling us how things ended, and that's exactly how it ended, right here. Halted supply of Tomahawk missiles. Why? Because Putin must have told something to Trump that Trump did not like at all. You see how things are done? All right, let's go to the next one. Who met in Abu Dhabi? Ukrainska Pravda. Ukrainian and Russian intelligence officials met in Abu Dhabi, says Putin aide. Because the Russians did not say who met the Americans over there. Dan, whatever his name is. So here it is. A Russian presidential aide has confirmed that Ukrainian and Russian intelligence officials met in Abu Dhabi on 25th of November. There were representatives doing serious work, and I'm quoting, from Ukraine and Russia's intelligence services. You see that? Ukrainian and Russian intelligence. Yes, Americans. It was my bad. There you go. Doing serious work from Ukraine. All right. Intelligence services. They held occasional meetings to discuss sensitive matters, particularly prisoner swaps. Oh my God. He said wild card showed up at the meeting. A new U.S. official is now in charge of the Ukraine issue. He appeared there and met with Ukrainian representatives, as I understand it, and it seems this had been prearranged. He also held an unexpected meeting with our representatives. Ushakov noted the Russian delegation at the Ukraine-Russia intelligence meeting included officials handling particular issues which he called very complex and delicate. He added that it was not Sergei Narishkin, head of the Foreign Intelligence Services, representing Russia, but someone else. So, Western media reports indicated the Ukraine delegation led by spy chief Kilo Budanov, oh, so he's still alive, was in Abu Dhabi alongside the American delegation on 25 November. All right, and the U.S. Army Secretary Daniel Driscoll held further meetings with a Russian delegation in UAE capital that day. The Ukraine delegation led by Budanov was also present there. So it seems like the peace process, which is fantastic, is out of the hands of the politicians in America and is in the hands of people with technical abilities, people, professionals. Therefore, they are way ahead in discussing details in which, Budanov, you're going to lose your job. You're going to go to CIA because you're a CIA guy, all right? That's it. Your intelligence will not exist, all right? Just so you know. And yes, here is your American guy is going to confirm that to you. Yes, Budanov, you're done. And so on. Good to know. They moved from blah, 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 blah. I did this, I told Putin that, to the professionals. That's fantastic. Next one and the last one. Trump envoy busted plotting with Russia to sabotage Ukraine. Can you believe that? Let me stop this baboon. So they say that Witkoff, the Jewish American special envoy to Middle East, dealing with two non-Middle Eastern countries, Russia and Ukraine, told the Russians how to deal with this guy right here, because the Russians are just, they just survived just because God helped them or something. Steve Witkoff is teaching a masterclass to Russian officials of how to get what they want from Donald Trump. And that is fondling someone's balls. Now, I don't know about you, but after a little while in life, or for some people it takes longer, you realize that sometimes compliments get you far. Even fake compliments, and you realize that. And so you have to be, if you can't really lie, or you can lie but you don't like lying, you know what I mean? Then you do the compliments close to that. So let's, for instance, you have a boss and she's a woman, and you go and say, hey, Rebecca, Jewish name. You have very nice long dangling earrings. I like them. And she gets all, yeah, because I like dangling earrings. It's a fact. But I don't like how they look on her. You know what I mean? But I can lie telling some truth in it. I like dangling ears. Dangling ears, dangling earrings. But not on you. Okay, but nevertheless, the same thing here. It's like the Russians needed to, remember diplomacy, I spoke about this many, many times. What do you need as a diplomat? You can't be just a Blinkenstein thrown over there, or, I don't know, Liz Truss in England, or Annalena Baerbock in Germany, or Kaja Kallas from Estonia. You can't just throw these guys over there, or Borrell. You have to go to school, you have to take psychology, you have to do a lot of role-playing, not that kind of role-playing, and all that. You have to have charisma, you have to have flexibility, you have to have balls, you have to have knowledge, you have to have courage. So many things, man. You're not just campaign for someone, you get the job, and here I am, Liz Truss, or whomever. These are baboons. That's why in Russia you have Lavrov. Do you think he didn't know? Do you think the Russians did not know that sometimes you have to, yeah, you look good. Okay, man, I don't like you today. Up and down. All right, so let's see what this guy really said, according to these guys. And I want you to pay attention to the wordage done by this baboon. Laura Esposito is gonna give us the information. Okay, all right. On October 14, Trump's special envoy advised Vladimir Putin top foreign policy aide Yuri Ushakov on how the Russian dictator should curry favor with Trump before, like the Americans need a favor with Trump. That's already Laura Esposito, you're a babe. You know what I mean? Broadcasting a proposed peace plan between Russia and Washington. During the 5-minute call. Now, what's going on here? There's no audio. It's just what these guys are saying. But they take it as it is. If they don't say during an alleged 5-minute call. This is Laura's, and she's a journalist. Who are these guys? Jewish, Cuban. That's excellent, fantastic, man. And I suspect that translator is also, you know what I mean. You can look at the beak. Here they are. What is this guy doing over here? Meritocracy in America, right? All right. So let's go back here. So remember, this they don't say. They say during the 5-minute call, not alleged. This is how you make things up. Not make things up. You report things because you don't know. Someone told you. You have to say according to the source. This is how I learned in college. Otherwise, I would say the same thing. He said, she said, blah, 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 blah. Not even that. I said it as a fact. This is the difference in journalistic work. Russia Today or Sputnik and the West. Pay attention. All right. Sometimes Reuters does, uses that kind of journalistic job. During the 5-minute call, Witkoff told Putin henchmen, oh my God, Laura, what are you doing? That the Russian president should personally phone Trump. 79, ahead of his planned meeting with Ukrainian President Zelensky. You see, Zelensky is a president, but he ditched elections in his country, he's not in Israel, I'm sorry, in the Ukrainian's country for almost 2 years, but he's the president. The other one who holds elections is just a dictator and so on. And the other guy is a henchman right there. No, he's just a henchman. Laura, you're not good. Where Zelensky hoped but ultimately failed to secure long-range Tomahawk cruise missiles to congratulate him on the Gaza ceasefire. So this guy said, tell Trump, congratulate him on Gaza ceasefire, and Trump is not going to send missiles to Ukraine. This is what Laura claims. Right there. Esposito. Laura, you're a baboon. All right. And this is what these guys... Remember, this is not what they say. Witkoff told his foreign counterpart, not allegedly or reportedly. And I'm quoting, my recommendation, I would make the call and just reiterate that you congratulate the president on this achievement, that you supported it, that you respect, that he is a man of peace, and you're really glad to have seen it happen. Witkoff told his foreign counterpart. Instead of saying told, Witkoff allegedly told. No, they say it as it's a deal, that it is true. And the Russian says, okay, so I would say that. I think from that, it's going to be a really good call. Witkoff said. To which Ushakov replied, not allegedly, okay, my friend, I think that very point our leaders could discuss, that very point, hey, Steve, I agree with you. What pants are you wearing, Steve? The pink ones I like. That he will congratulate, he will say that Mr. Trump is a real peace man, and so that he will say. Now, this is what they say. Trump and Putin are two baboons. And Ushakov is a baboon, but Witkoff, who I think is a snake, had to teach the European Ushakov some diplomatic skills, because the Russians, like in the Hollywood movies, my name is whatever. Remember Arnold Schwarzenegger, the movie Hit? Remember that one? When he's the Russian came to find Victor, I bring you to Russia, Soviet Union, and so on. Or, my name is Drago, I will break you. This is the representation of the Russians. Yeah, they, but somehow they don't lose. Anyway, you understand? Now that Laura should not be close to a job in journalism, because I have to inform her that there are words like allegedly, reportedly, they claim. No, she's reporting it as a given. It happened. Thank you very much for being with me again today. Stay strong, stay smart, look for the truth, and be just.